Welcome to the Mindset, Magic, and Manifestation podcast hosted by me, Michaela J. Get ready to dive into an action-packed, bougie-based, and spiritually guided experience on all things manifesting your next level Lux life. Let's go. Hello, Icon, and welcome back to the Mindset, Magic, and Manifestation podcast with your girl. It is I, the Michaela J, here to teach you how to manifest your next level Lux life. Happy motherfucking Wednesday. Aren't you glad I'm back? Did you miss me? I'm not kidding you. I had the flu for almost all of January. It was horrible. It was horrible. And every week, all I wanted to do was sit down and record and sit down and film. Like, even if you're on my Instagram, if you follow me, and if you don't, I don't know what you're doing. I'm at the Michaela J. A lot of my posts from January were carousels because I had no voice. I was coughing all month. I had the plague. I was down bad. But we are back, baby. And I have so much coming to the podcast. First of all, I talked about my word of the year on my YouTube channel. So head over to my YouTube channel if you want to see that video. But I want to do a podcast episode on that and kind of talk about my game plan of how I am personally quantum leaping in 2026. And we're going to do a whole quantum leaping series, okay? It is in lieu of an upcoming launch that we've got going on that I'm going to tell you about today. But I am dedicated, especially now that we're in February, to helping you have the most iconic quantum leaping year. And on Instagram the other day, I posted a audio in my broadcast channel talking about how 2026 is not the year you quantum leap. It is the year that you quantum leap every single month, back to back to back to back, baby. Okay. I don't want you having Christmas with your family thinking, wow, what a great year. These are the goals I hit. This is the ones that I didn't. And that makes sense. And this is how I want to apply myself. Like, we're not doing the same old. That's what you did at the end of 2025, the end of 2024. We are doing things differently this year. It's not a quantum leap year, okay? Because this is what most people do. They set their goals in January for 2026, and they give themselves all year to embody a word, a feeling, to step into these results, to take action, right? We have all done this where you set goals for the year and then you don't take action on some of them until like halfway through the year when you told yourself you wanted to be consistent for 12 months of the year. Like, that's not the vibe we're on. That's what creates a quantum leap year. But what I want for you, for me, for us in the MJ world community is I want us to be at New Year's. Just close your eyes and imagine this with me, okay? Just imagine this with me. I want you to be at a party on New Year's Eve. Maybe it's just you and your man. Maybe it's you and your besties. Maybe you're out, you're twerking at the club. You're having a good time. You're celebrating. I want you to be wearing a cute little sparkly dress in the best shape of your life. You feel so good. Your glam is perfect. Like the vibe's right. The music's good wherever you are. You are popping a bottle of Dom, of Wev. Like, you've got good champagne. And for my non-alcoholic girlies, you've got a really great mocktail. Maybe there's some sparkles in it. And you're thinking, oh, what the fuck happened? You're thinking, how the F did I get here? You're not thinking this was a quantum leap year. You are thinking, oh my God, remember in February when I made a power move and I decided that every single month was going to be a quantum leap and I just lived 17 lives this year? What the F happened? How did that even happen? How did that even happen? One of my past mentors used to always say, you're going to wonder how to do something until you do it. And then you're going to ask the question, how did I do that? Isn't that so interesting? I want you to be thinking that in December 2026. Like, how the fuck did I do that? Genuinely. This is a year that we are stacking quantum leaps. We aren't just doing one. We're stacking them over and over and over again. We're taking the brand new bitch every 3 weeks up a notch. Okay. So that is my intro. Welcome back to the podcast. Did you miss me? I know you did. All right. So let's talk about what's going on today. Today, I want to talk about quantum leaping, obviously, and I want to talk about the necessary shifts that you need to quantum leap in the next 60 days. All right. And why I'm putting 60 days, even though I just talked to you about quantum leaping every single month, is because in those 60 days, you are going to be living a completely different life if you make these 4 shifts. Completely different life. But probably after the first week of implementing these, you're already going to feel quantum leap. Okay. So it's like, yeah, 60 days. I'm mainly doing that so that your mind, your subconscious, and all your beliefs can really get behind this. But trust me when I say 3 weeks in, you're going to be a completely different human being. These are required shifts that I have had to learn over time anytime I want to quantum leap something. So I want to start by telling you a story about my very, very, very first time I ever quantum leaped. And some of you might know this story. The moment I began my personal development journey, it was in 2017 in June. And I was living in the raccoon house, if you know, you know, and I was at rock fucking bottom. When I mean by rock bottom, I mean I probably hadn't shaved my legs in weeks, you know, one of those phases. Like, my room that I was living in, it was like a hoarder situation, not because of me, because I didn't put the room together, because we were living in such a small house. Like, everything was stacked on top of everything. And I was just like surrounded by stuff, disorganized stuff all of the time. I was staying up till 4 or 5 in the morning every single night watching Gossip Girl. I'm not kidding, just to literally feel something. All right. I was so depressed. I looked dead in the eyes. My life had gone so far off the rails of what I wanted. And I was waking up so early every day. I was going to CrossFit at like 5 in the morning. The house I lived in, we didn't have Wi-Fi, and I was in online classes for school. So I would go to CrossFit, and then I'd go to Dunkin' Donuts when they opened just to steal Wi-Fi to do work. I would go to work early just to use their Wi-Fi. Like, it was a dark time in my life, okay? And one day I had gotten out of the shower and I was looking at myself in the mirror, in the very small amount of the mirror I could see in, because there's writing and stuff taped all over the mirror, and already the lighting was bad in that bathroom. It was like one of those old school bathrooms where the carpet's like blue for some reason, whatever. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, something has to change, and it has to start with me. I couldn't change my living situation at the time. I felt like I couldn't change my job. I felt like there was a lot of external things going on that I had no control over. And I got really fucking sick and tired of that, of feeling like there's nothing in my control that I can do anything about, and I'm so unhappy. And so that was the moment I decided, well, if I can't control the external, let me control the internal. Let me change how I feel about myself. Let me change how I view myself. Let me change how I show up for things. Let me change my overall energy. Like, let me change everything inside of me. I used to be a pessimist. I was probably one of the most negative people you could have come by. I complained all the time. I would get mad over everything. I used to get so angry. I would like feel it in my bones. You know, I don't wish that feeling on anybody. It's like, oh, it's so nauseating. And I remember thinking, in looking in the mirror, something has to change, and it has to start with me. This is where a quantum leap begins. That's where mine began, and that's the moment that your next quantum leap begins, is when you decide, I might hate my job right now. This might not be my dream apartment. I don't have that soul-aligned friend group. My business is signing clients, but it's not making FU levels of money, okay? It could be my social media I love posting content, it's going good, but it's not blowing up. You could have like all of these things feel like it's not there, and the external's not lining up, and I have been doing all the things and being consistent. What you have to do is flip it back on you. You have to flip it back on you. Like, what about you has to change? What about you has to change? And that's a tough question that most people don't face because they don't want to realize that they are the problem. They don't want to accept a level of accountability around their life and their results. And of course, there's external circumstances that are way out of your control. But there's a lot that's in our control that we could be taking accountability over. We just don't want to. We want to blame external things and circumstances and find other reasons outside of ourselves to make us feel better about where we are keeping ourselves stuck, where we are not creating that quantum leap that we know we could actually have if we were applying ourselves. So this has to be the moment that you declare, okay, Something's got to change, and it has to start with me. I can't keep thinking the same way. I can't keep repeating the same feelings over and over and over again. I can't keep telling myself that I'm okay with these subpar results. I can't keep settling or oversleeping your alarm or, not getting ready for the day or just letting things fly by. Like whatever it is that you are letting slip through the cracks, it's time to take accountability for that and to start changing that. Change what's in your control. And sometimes the only thing that we can control is what's going on in our head. One of the most brutal things that I had to face when starting to quantum leap in my life and in my finances and in every other area of my life, to be honest with you, was my kind of addiction to thinking. I was addicted to thinking and thinking and thinking. I would think myself into these spirals. I'd think myself into victimhood mode. I would think and make up stories and make up meanings. And I was always reacting to what was going on around me. That was something that had to change. I knew the version of me who was up at the up level that I was creating, who was on the other side of the quantum leap that I was wanting to have. She wasn't reacting to things. She wasn't looking at the external and making meanings about herself. Like that was something I had to shift. I couldn't let external things define who I was. And I was doing that for a really long time. Something has to change and it has to start with me. Like, where do you need to change? And a lot of times we know this, we just don't do it. So I need you to have a real moment with yourself. Something has to change and it has to start with you. The second shift that we want to implement for quantum leaping goes along with this. It's stop waiting for the external to change for your confidence to increase. That's why we are constantly fixating on external reality. It's like, oh, well, when 5 people join my program, then I'm going to feel really confident and certain, and then I won't shut the F up talking about my program. And my launch is going to be amazing. It's going to sell out, and I'm going to feel so confident. You're waiting on something else to dictate your levels of confidence. We're not going to let that fly anymore. That is not the vibe that we are creating in our life. It's like, I'm not going to be confident until I have X amount of money in the bank. So you're just going to walk around feeling insecure all of the time. And then also when you hit that level of money in the bank, because been there, done that, you're going to set a new goal. And then it's just always going to be pushing. And then the confidence never ends up landing because you didn't need the number in the bank to actually feel confident. You needed to decide that you were going to back yourself. You needed to decide that you know who the fuck you are and external things don't define you. You define you. You don't need to wait on these things. A lot of people will wait until they live in the perfect house to create content. When I started my business, I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. We had the ugliest kitchen ever, okay? It was like one of those really old school kitchens where the background of our cabinets was like that really old brown oak. And then the front, like the actual cabinet door was white, like one of those white and brown kitchens. It was not cute. Carpet, dingy bathtub, dingy lighting, like where the countertops are like that weird tan color. Like my view out of my bedroom was a parking lot. Like it was not a vibe. And I still remember doing live streams inside of my Facebook group and on my Instagram, sitting in my bed, literally in the fucking dark with just Christmas lights on in my apartment. And I don't know why I did that. You can barely even see me, but you can hear me, and that's what matters, right? One thing about me is I'm going to talk. You can barely fucking see me. I'm in like Nike shorts sitting in my bed, okay? It was not a cute setup for some reason. I just didn't give a fuck. So go baby MJ for that. It's like so many people are waiting until they live in the most aesthetic, beautiful home to start putting themselves out there. If I had waited to live in a beautiful home to start building my business, I would not be here today. I would not be sitting here talking to you on this podcast that has millions of downloads in my gorgeous and beautiful home. Like I wouldn't even have achieved this if I had been waiting around. Everything would have taken so much longer if I was waiting for the external. Do you get that? If you wait on the external to feel confident, to start showing up, to be the person that you know inside that you are, if you wait for the external, it's going to take so much longer. And what a lot of us love and get excited about manifestation is the idea of speedy manifestations, achieving your goals faster in a way that feels better. Instant manifestations, overnight shifts, right? Not that you're going to achieve all of your goals overnight, the snap of a finger, but you will feel a shift overnight if you shift yourself internally, right? So we love this idea of speed, especially as high achievers. We want to move fast. We want goals to move fast. If you wait on the external, it's going to take longer. Let that sink in. That's the excuse that you've been allowing yourself to have. Well, when I have this, then I'll do that. When I have a nicer car, then I'll film TikToks in my car. When I get the Porsche, then I'll film the videos and then they'll get lots of views because now I look like the rich girl. Or when I'm in better shape, then I'll show up. There was a time in my business that I became overweight. Like I gained a lot of weight and my body was super inflamed because I'd been in fight or flight for quite a while and I still showed up. If I had gotten to that point and then I was like, I'm unhappy with how I look, I'm not going to show up anymore, my business would cease to exist, okay? If I just fell off the face of the internet just because I didn't like how I looked and I was like, well, you know what? Once I lose weight and I get back in shape, then I'll get back at it. Like that is not the game we're playing here. You aren't playing to win. You've got big goals, big manifestations, big dreams, and the steps you're taking today are all adding up to that. Stop waiting to be at the end zone to start playing the game. That's ridiculous, okay? You deserve to feel confident and feel certain now, but only you can decide that. And that's that inner work we have to start changing so that we can feel that way. The third shift that needs to happen for your next quantum leap is another internal shift that is oftentimes dictated by the external. Do you see the pattern here? And I want to tell you a story around this. There was a time in my life when I lived in a house that had 3 pieces of furniture. Okay. This is so crazy. I had a couch, I had a kitchen table, and I had a mattress on the floor. And I was at this point in my life in such scarcity. I was manifesting money and in like a very forceful way. I was all the time in this like fight or flight mode that I described. This is actually the time that I had gained a bunch of weight and was super inflamed because I was so like all the time. This practice I had been doing to manifest money into quantum leap in air quotes. Anybody who's watching the video, you can see it on audio. I'm doing air quotes, quantum leap. It was actually creating a reverse effect on me. So I lived in this house with 3 pieces of furniture and I was manifesting money. And I told myself, I'm going to quantum leap in my money reality. And so I had looked up all of the things and I was practicing all of these rituals. And I had seen online, the main thing people were talking about with quantum leaping at the time was from Abraham Hicks. And they were saying that if you hold a thought for 17 seconds, that's long enough to impress the idea on the universe to start quantum leaping. And that principle ruined my fucking life, let me tell you. Because what I ended up doing in this time is I would get into bed, my mattress on the floor, and I would visualize money coming in, but in a very micro-managing way around the universe. I wasn't like visualizing like a big picture vision of like a next level that I wanted to step into. I was visualizing like waking up and there being a DM and that person's like, I want to join this and I want to pay in full. Or I would visualize like waking up and opening up my email and there would be payments there and everything would be good to go. So I would go to sleep with that. And then I would open my eyes in the morning and I'd be like, good morning, world. Let's check my email. Let's check my Instagram. Let's go see if it's there. Let's go see if it worked. Very desperate energy, very clingy energy. And I would, like I said, I was in fight or flight. And then I would like wake up anxious because I'd be like, okay, we got to check. We got to see if it worked. I need this to work. I would get on Instagram. There'd be like nothing there. Likes, comments, whatever, but no DMs of people like being like, hey, I want to work with you. And they'd be like, fuck, it didn't work. Okay. Guess I didn't visualize hard enough or whatever. And then I would check my email and then there wouldn't be payment notifications. And it would just continue to make me spiral. Because now I was then getting in my head being like, well, I'm not a very good manifester. Like if these visualizations aren't working, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Like I did my more than 17 seconds. Like I did 5 minutes of visualization. I had 10 minutes. That's a lot of 17 seconds put together. Like I should have been on the priority list for the universe. Like I was yelling loud and clear of what I wanted to manifest. And so then I would create all of these stories about who I am and the results that I can create and questioning myself, getting all up in my head, letting that define me. I was really waiting on something outside of me to make me feel something about myself. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I was waiting for the day that the manifestation, visualization, quantum leap, whatever the fuck method was going to work for me. I was waiting for that day it was going to work, and I was going to wake up and it would have happened and it would have been crazy. And I'd be like, oh my God, this is amazing. It worked. Yay. And then I'd be like, I'm so good at manifesting money. That would be the first identity that I would have. The second identity is like, oh man, like the universe really loves me and I am just so lucky. And then I'd be like, I am just so blessed. Like only good things happen to me. It was like all of these identities that would click into place once it worked. That is where my head was. Do you see why it didn't work? It's because what I just described to you, like I'm a great money manifester, I'm so lucky, the universe is blessing me. That was the Michaela on the other side of the desire. And I wasn't being her. I was being the Michaela who was super anxious. Like I would go to bed with a pit in my stomach and I would wake up with that. I was going to bed anxious. I was in fight or flight. I would wake up and I wouldn't even have a thought other than let me just go look. Like, oh my goodness, that's not like, I'm lucky, the universe loves me. Like if I was tapped into that identity, I would have woke up. I'd be like, oh, it's a beautiful day. I would have had a lemon water and a coffee. I would have had a workout. Like I would have been in my flow. Wouldn't even have like worried about it. I would have been in certainty energy. I would have been in the knowing energy. And then I would have checked and been like, oh, of course. I'm so excited for these FES clients. I'm so excited for these people grabbing the program. I'm so excited for this. Like it would have been this flow, not this force and anxiety and I'm going to throw up. So of course it didn't work. I was waiting for the result to be the person on the other side of the result. Quantum leaping is literally being that person before it's here because that's how you normalize the up level. And then when you up level, you've already been that person. Now you start up leveling into the next. But are you waiting on the result to feel like that person now? As somebody who, one, snapped the fuck out of whatever that practice was and actually started to quantum leap my life. Actually, you know what? Let me finish the story for you. I'm not kidding. Once I realized that I was waiting on something outside of myself to step into an identity, I was like, what have I been doing? I like woke up from like a bad dream. Within 6 months later, I was living in my dream apartment. I was creating my best body yet. I had already lost all the weight and I lost the inflammation and I was on my journey to becoming the strongest that I'd ever been, dream body. I was making more money than I had ever made in my entire life. Like mind-blowing money started to come in. I was like, oh my God, this is literally insane. I was so happy. I had manifested one of my soulmate besties who I'm still friends with. Like all of these incredible things started to come together. Like my dream life was literally forming in front of my eyes because I stopped waiting for a result for me to decide who the fuck I am, for me to step into an identity. I realized I didn't need proof. I needed to decide. But that's the work that most people won't do. Okay? Where are you waiting for a result to feel some type of way about yourself? Where are you waiting for a result to define your identity rather than you defining who you are? That's what a quantum leap is. And the fourth shift that you need to make around this is once you decide I'm no longer waiting for something outside of me to decide who I am, you now have to go be her. And this is the shift. So many people know something has to change. It has to start with me. You know the changes that you need to make. You know where you're letting the external define you. You know where you're letting your identity be an arm's length away because you haven't created a result yet. You know that you're waiting to have confidence because you're scared that you're going to fail and you're going to be disappointed and you're going to feel silly. Like you know all of these things. You know who your next level self is. You know the version of you who's after the quantum leap. Like I described, I knew exactly who that was. I just wasn't being her. This is where the real work kicks in. The real work to stay in what I call the certainty frequency. Most people aren't willing to actually do that work. They want it and they want to be her, but they're not willing. And this is why coaching is so powerful because you can have a mentor there to snap your ass back into her over and over and over again. That's where the actual work lies, is when you start to spiral, you need to snap your ass back into gear. When you start to act like, what's the word I'm looking for? When you start to look for external validation, snap your ass back into gear. When you're giving your power away, come back to the person you know that you are. When you are deciding that you're a loser and that it's not working, remind yourself who the fuck you are. Like, that is very difficult to do on your own, because inside of your head, you can be your own worst enemy. And your best friend probably hypes you up all the time, and your man probably hypes you up, but you don't really listen to them. But when it's a mentor that you look up to and that you respect, when they say something about you and they remind you who the F you are, you believe them, because you're like, well, if she says it, then it has to be true, right? Like, she sees me as that, so I need to see me as that. Oh yeah, she reminded me who the fuck I am. I am that person. I can't believe she sees me as that person. Like, the actual work kicks in when it's time to be her, because that's when you're going to go through all of the growing pains of this process. That's when you're going to realize where you have been lacking some of that confidence and you need to step up. That's when you're going to realize how much you've been wobbling in your mindset and how you need to clean that up. That's when you're going to see how easy and how often you get frustrated, and then you're going to snap yourself back out of it. It's one thing to know who you need to be, and it's another to actually be her. And you need to consistently be her. You need to consistently be in that certainty frequency I was talking about to complete the quantum leap, because that's when you're actually what I call the energetic match for your next level. And let me put it in terms like this for you. The version of you on the other side of the quantum leap, she is not spiraling because she's already created that quantum leap. She is certain she can create it because she created it. So what if you decided to go be her now and you ditched all the mindset drama? You stopped being addicted to thinking and tearing yourself down. The version of you who is the energetic match, who's on that same wavelength as the quantum leap, she is not beating herself up when one thing goes wrong or when her plan doesn't plan the way you thought it was going to, right? When the results don't come together in the way you expected it to. Like, the quantum leap version of yourself, her identity, the you that's an energetic match, it doesn't matter if things don't go to plan. It doesn't matter if you get your expectation or not. She's going to make it happen regardless because she knows who she is. That is the real work. And this is the work that I want to help you with inside of my program, the Expansion Experiment. So this is my quantum leaping group coaching program, because what I notice for women is they've mastered discipline. They are consistent in taking action and showing up for themselves. Like, you are taking batshit crazy action. You are probably the most dedicated fucking human being you know. Definitely the most consistent person in your life. But where you're getting caught up and you're not quantum leaping to the extent that you could be is because you are wobbling. It's because you are waiting for a result to let your certainty and your confidence go to the next level in your business, in your body, in your relationships. You end up holding yourself back through overthinking, through being stuck in defense mechanisms to keep your ego safe, by holding everything, an arm's length away so you don't get disappointed, pushing everything off so you don't have to take that accountability, saying, I'm going to wait for a sign and the sign didn't come, so that must mean that's why I'm not creating this, blah, 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 blah. Or you take action, but you're not really showing up. You're not really applying yourself. This was a pattern of self-sabotage I had for a super long time, is I would show up and take action, but I wasn't applying myself. And this is a huge breakthrough. The reason why I would show up and I would do the work and I would be consistent and I would pride myself for being disciplined and posting and doing all the things. But part of me was scared that even though I was showing up, it still wouldn't work. So I would just show up, but I wasn't giving it my all. I wasn't applying myself in the way that I know that I could be. And the reason why is because if I failed, I wanted to know that I had an excuse, that I could say, I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out the whole time. If I had fully, gone all in, then it absolutely would have worked. But I only kind of dipped my toe in. If I really apply myself, obviously I would have hit this goal, but I was kind of just flying by the seat of my pants, half-assing it, winging it. So, it makes sense. If I was really, going to dedicate myself to it, obviously it would work. It's an ego thing. You want an excuse to blame for your potential failure. And the issue is too many people are preparing for their failure than they are preparing to win. And I know you're a winner. So let's beat these patterns. Let's cut out this bullshit self-sabotage that's held you back for way too long. That makes 1 year a quantum leap and not 12 quantum leaps consecutively. Because when you shift this, when you shift the wobbling, the overthinking, the waiting for something outside of you, when you shift that, your business blows up because there's nothing in between where you are now and where you want to go. You can just go there. So you start making more money, right? Like I said, in 6 months, I was making the most money I'd ever made my entire life after I snapped my ass out of it. From sleeping on a mattress to my life being completely changed. Sleep on a mattress, overweight, to my life completely changed. Like, your business will blow up. Your visibility will pop off. Okay, because people will notice you. Your energy will be magnetic. It will be undeniable. The opportunities that start falling to your lap are going to be insane. When this happened, like afterwards, I told you I had met like a soulmate bestie. She ended up being like so blown away by me and my business. She did a full school report on my business. Her and her classmates that were in this group project, they were going to do this like marketing campaign project over another business, but that business owner ended up ghosting them. So she was like, we need somebody, your business is insane. Like, can we use you in your business? Like, can we interview you? And I was telling them my numbers of how much money I was making in my business, and their class literally didn't believe me. Like, literally. And I got exposed to a whole college class of kids who ended up following me, listening to my podcast, and jumping into programs. Like, the opportunities that end up popping off are literally insane because you just got out of your own way. Michaela in the past before that, fight or flight Michaela, who was waiting 17 seconds to hope something would pop out of thin air, she would have never had that type of opportunity because she would have been too scared to have her business in front of people. She would have been really nervous about people making a marketing campaign because it was for a marketing class. They're making up like, this is what we would do with SEO, and this is how we would do this and that, and these are the tweaks we make, whatever. In the past, that version of Michaela who was in fight or flight would have been too embarrassed. It would have hurt her ego of like, oh, well, I guess I'm just not marketing correctly. I guess I'm just not marketing good enough. So I wouldn't have been an energetic match for that opportunity. But when you get the F out of your way, you can start to quantum leap. That's why this work is so important. That's why the real work is actively being her, changing things, letting the change start with you. Stop hyper fixating on the external and let's go internal and blow the F up. I would love to help support you with this inside of the Expansion Experiment. This is an 8-week group coaching program where we are getting on group coaching calls every single week. We are staying plugged in so I can snap your ass back into gear anytime you want to go awry, anytime you start overthinking, doubting yourself, we're going to snap back into it, snap back into it, snap back into it. Do the work to be her. We're going to shift the overthinking. We're going to shift your wobbles so that you can be in alignment for your quantum leap. So you can be the quantum leap version of you because you deserve to feel like her right now. You don't need to wait until you've created a result to feel better about yourself. And in fact, the sooner you see yourself differently, the sooner the results will be different. So that's what we are creating inside of the Expansion Experiment. The last round we did this, it was so insane. The shifts that were happening every single week were wild. There were job opportunities. There were clients being signed. There was just so much energy moving by staying plugged in. It's going to blow your mind on what can happen in 8 weeks of committing to doing the work to being the biggest version of yourself. At the time of recording this, we actually only have 5 spots left because it's been selling and flying off the shelves behind the scenes. So if you are eager to get in, start quantum leaping, get the fuck out of your way, then I suggest you head to the link in the show notes and you get your booty in now, okay? If you have questions, feel free to DM me over on Instagram. I'm at the Michaela J. Happy to answer questions for you. There's a VIP level if you want even more support from me in creating your next quantum leap in the next 60 days. This program is going to be insane. Like, I'm just refusing to let you have a year where it's a great year, but it's not a holy shit, what the F happened? Literally, how did I do that year? Like, it's time. It's time for us to stop tiptoeing with the manifestations and constantly teeter-tottering in old patterns and the defense mechanisms. It's time. It's time for you to be a bigger version of yourself. It's time for something to change, and it's going to start with you. And I'm going to be right by your side to help you, okay? I cannot wait to see you inside of the expansion experiment. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this episode. Thanks so much for listening. If you are listening to the podcast, if you're watching the video, take a little screenshot, share it over on your Instagram story, and tag me. It means so much when I see what you guys are up to while listening to the podcast. And I'll talk to you next Wednesday because I won't have the flu. Yay! Love you. Bye. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to leave a 5-star rate and review. I love hearing your takeaways and wins from the podcast in the review section, so don't forget. Love you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.